Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to our June 22nd City Commission meeting. Thank you all for being here. Nikki, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation?
Yes.
Please stand.
As we gather to begin this meeting, let us all take a minute to quietly reflect, each according to our own individual beliefs and intentions. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Nikki. All right. First thing we need to do is acknowledge that Commissioner Franny is not here with us today. She has a family wedding, and we would never keep her from her family. So it says on here I need to get a motion, so I need to get a motion to excuse her absence.
So moved.
I'll second, but I do need to ask a question. Didn't you need a
I do.
1, 2?
I do.
We did.
You did it? We did it on Tuesday.
We did it on Tuesday.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's when I was on Zoom.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, they.
Gotcha.
But yes, they.
Okay, so Commissioner Gao and Commissioner Kynes, Vice Mayor Kynes, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
4-0, I guess I have to say. Sorry about that. Alrighty. First, under presentations, we have the National Garden Week of 2022, and I will turn that over to Commissioner Twanga.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a couple special guests and perhaps someone else in the audience that belongs to your organization. But we have Gabrielle, you're up, you're here, Brandel, and Deborah Whalen. Gabrielle is the Vice President of the Dunedin Garden Club, and Deborah is a treasurer.
Wow.
I think for a long time. Is it? Is it? She's been for a long time?
I'm Deborah Whalen. I was a former president
Yeah.
in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And more recently, I've been treasurer for a few years now.
Yes, yeah. Well, fantastic. Welcome. National Garden Week 2022. Whereas the Dunedin Garden Club was organized in 1929 with an ongoing mission to provide education and resources to its members and community in promoting the love of gardening for future generations. And whereas gardeners have a passion for nurturing the beauty and resources of the earth through the planting of seeds, the care of all plants, and the riches of their efforts. And whereas gardeners seek to add beauty, splendor, fragrance, and nutrition to our lives through the growing of herbs, vegetables, foliage, and flowers. And whereas gardeners work to preserve our country's traditional spirit of independence and initiative through innovation and hard work. Whereas gardeners advocate the importance of all creatures, large and small, that share our world and their roles in a balanced and productive ecology. And whereas gardening furnishes a challenging and productive activity for our citizens, for those just learning as well as those having years of experience. And whereas gardening promotes a healthy lifestyle that lasts a lifetime and helps reduce stress from other areas of our life. And whereas gardening enables the members of the garden clubs across the nation and the world to make a difference in the communities where they reside and work. Now therefore I, John Torringer, by virtue of the authority invested in the mayor of the city of Dunedin, Florida, and on behalf of the entire city commission, do hereby designate the week of June 23, 2022 as National Garden Week in Dunedin, and acknowledge the importance of gardening and the numerous contributions of gardeners, especially the members of the Dunedin Garden Club. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gabriella and I want to thank all of you for recognizing the Dunedin Garden Club and for recognizing National Garden Week here in Dunedin. It really is an important thing, as you attested to here, with all the different benefits of gardening. And as you mentioned, we have been a partner with the city since 1929. And as you
Amazing. I thought it was right around 100 years. I mean,
we're getting close.
that's fabulous.
We just had a 90th party not that long ago, and hopefully for our 100th, we'll make something bigger, or even 95. We'll make a big,
95's good.
yeah, we'll do a big party.
You're ready to
Everyone will be
party.
ready for it. And as you recall, some of the really big things that the Garden Club has done in the past, we've contributed to the creation of Armston Park and Hammock Park, and more recently, the native butterfly garden over at the library. And just lots of small things over the years and big things as well. And we're looking forward to many more activities and partnerships in the future. And Gabriella has some comments on what we've got planned now.
Yeah, Bryony, our president, couldn't be here, so she wanted me to read a message. Dunedin Garden Club was able to salvage over 500 plants from the Kellogg property. We are excited to be working with Phyllis Gorsh, Director of the Dunedin Public Library and the City of Dunedin Parks and Recreation, in planting the extension of the existing butterfly garden at the library into the shaded area and calling it the Kellogg Garden. Dunedin Garden Club will maintain both gardens. It is an honor and privilege to be in partnership with the City of Dunedin. Thank you. And let me just thank the City of Dunedin and the Parks and Recreation Director, Vince Gizzi, on behalf of the Dunedin Garden Club for granting us permission to hold our outdoor meetings and activities and events at Eagle Scout Park, as well as the use of the pavilion, and for their generous donation of a fabulous shed where we can finally hold all our gardening materials.
Very cool.
We have a home.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next presentation, I'm going to just turn it over to Commissioner Gal to announce it.
Thank you, Mayor. It almost seems appropriate as we acknowledge National Garden Week that we also take an opportunity to acknowledge a gardener in our community that helps us cultivate young minds and bodies. And so, Carrie Wyatt, would you please come forward? And while she's coming up,
Sure you want to give me a microphone?
Yeah, no,
Yes.
well, yeah, we do. We
that's
do.
actually very funny. And I wonder what the odds are in Vegas on Commissioner Gao talking about schools and children, and where in here I'm going to start to sniffle. I'll try to be. But it's amazing, Carrie, what your staff will say about you once you've left. Okay, so, yeah, they don't have to face you on a Monday morning or anything. And so we all know the wonderful things that happens in schools. And a lot of times when you drive by schools, you really don't know. You don't see the passion that's inside. You don't see the caring and the love and the real drive to get students to strive and do their best. And so just thank you for what you've done. In reaching out to some of your staff, this is actually comes from them. Carrie Wyatt, damn it.
See?
Wait a minute, pass one.
No, it's, I wish it was just Father's Day I didn't get this kind of love. Amazing. Carrie Wyatt has dedicated the last 40 years of her life to public education in the Pinellas County school system. That in and of itself, thank you. She has served as teacher, assistant principal, and principal. She has a gift for bringing people together and allowing them to use their professional judgment and experience to move kids forward. She puts teachers on the pedestal they deserve, and for that, they give her all their effort. Her ability to win over community members and business owners is a skill that has benefited each school where she has worked in the Pinellas County school system. Despite all of her love for adults in her school, her true happy place has always been with the students. She was born to work with kids. She would build them up and make sure that they knew that she had their back and will always be their biggest cheerleader. The best example of Carrie's passion can be seen in Dunedin Elementary. Oh my God, I'm a mess. It's not about me. In 2014, Carrie was moved to Dunedin Elementary and given the task of turning the school around, as school data had been trending downward for several years at the school. Part of her responsibility was to make sure that the school had the right people in the right place. She interviewed each teacher to make sure that school had, that each teacher one-on-one to determine they would be able to move the school forward. The most important characteristic she was looking for in each of the interviews was a positive attitude. The attitude and belief that each student who walks through the school doors could learn and grow and be the best student and person they possibly could. 8 years later, the school has held a B grade. In addition to maintaining the grade, Dunedin Elementary School was established as the happiest school on earth. Who knew? Where people want to be every day. Many people new to the school often come into the office and describe the energy that is felt from walking through the front doors. Recently, Carrie was even put her trust in the community with 2 new hires that at least I'm aware of. Kim Burt, who works in the front office, and the other is a first-year music teacher.
Tasha Deal.
Thank you. Tasha, with very little experience and taking the chance over a more experienced teacher. Both Kim and Tasha, Both Kim and Tasha have been very involved in the Scottish dance community and graduated through the Performing Arts program at Dunedin High School. These hires showed Carrie that Dunedin Elementary, when you hire the hometown girls, you get the whole town. Dunedin Elementary is a place that will continue to thrive as a result of the feeling that Carrie Wyatt has put in each one of us, and that's from Christina Murphy, the new Dunedin Elementary principal. And
She was giving them to you.
and she was, but they weren't for me.
Please,
Please.
please, please. Okay, now I need a tissue.
First, Christina Murphy wrote that because I hired her. I don't normally come to these kind of things. In fact, when Phyllis asked me, I said, oh, no. But I did for one reason. Everything you said, I am more than touched. But there's no leader if nobody follows and supports the leader. The day I walked into Dunedin Elementary, I can still see it. It was Mayor Edgars, then Commissioner Bujalski, who was on the Education Commission. Phyllis, you were there, and people walked in and said, what can I do to help this school be successful? That is the reason that I'm here today. That's the reason you said some couple of nice things about me, because that is what brought that school up. It was a level of positivity, and you all made it happen. It was your youth guild. It was Kathy Carlson from Blur and Chickaboom Room bringing us food. It was Commissioner Kynes showing up just to say, what can I do? And it hasn't stopped since the day you walked through my door, Mayor Bujalski. And that is what has brought that school the reputation. Yes, I did deem it the happiest school on earth. People said Walt Disney would come get me, get him, because it is the happiest school on earth. But because of all of you, the city of Dunedin is like no other place I have ever been in my 40 years. My last 8 years, my final journey was here. I couldn't have picked a better place that filled my bucket, my heart, and it was because of all of you. Just a quick shout out, Phyllis, the woman needs more money. You give her whatever she wants.
Right, we know that.
She is the liaison. Your education committee, which Commissioner Kynes, you've been on. Jeff Gow has showed up to every chorus performance that we have had.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
No, like he has.
He puts us all to shame.
But he really is there for all of it. And so it's not your words that mean anything, because those are words. You guys back it up with your actions. So I'm here to thank you, because my success, the school's success, is only because of the commission and the city and the people of Dunedin. So thank you.
Hey, hang on. Don't go anywhere, 'cause I know we all have something to say, but
Yeah.
Commissioner Kynes wanted to say a
Well,
few things.
you know, Carrie, I just, you know, it really is amazing because maybe we're not supposed to say this, but the school was at what? D, F, what was it?
Maybe an F.
Yeah, and she brought it up to a B.
I didn't know.
No, I understand that.
Yeah,
But
but
it is
you led the
leadership.
charge.
It's leadership. And she even used some of the corporate ideas on positivity, which I thought was fascinating. You know, how you, yes, the book. How to look at life, how to be positive, how to touch each one of them, how to know their families, know where they came from. And, you know, I came in and talked to you about we need to start mental health care for children age appropriate. Like, I'm okay, you're okay, I'm sad today, I'm happy today, whatever. And actually, one of your teachers took that and ran with it, and she developed a really wonderful program against we don't have violence in our schools. What's the name?
Was it Leah Holzer? She took the whole say something and does lessons
Yes.
because of what you brought in.
But it's amazing. And, you know, I'm so proud of you, and you are just, and you did get to pick the right person.
Well, Dr. Grego picked it, but I might have.
Oh, you've been working on it for years. Trust me,
So have
we all
of you,
know.
Because Dunedin Elementary is a representative of your city, and we know that. Did you see it in the paper the other day?
Yes, and I was so proud of that too, and
That will
to see
continue.
the new leadership too. But
will
Carrie,
continue.
you are extra
Thank you.
special.
Thank you. Well,
And Godspeed.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Commissioner, do you have anything you wanted to add?
Sure. Carrie, the first time I saw you was in the school, and it was about the wild enthusiasm. Everything, you had kids running all over, teachers asking what do we do here and what do we do there? And you were just wildly enthusiastic, and it was fun to watch that. So I'm really proud to be here to see you get a little award from us, to see you get your flowers, and some of the kind words that we're going to say to you, because you deserve every one of them.
I appreciate it. And I do need to say, while I'd like you to be partial to Dunedin Elementary, this is for every school. You have done this for every school in your city, and they're all appreciative. You guys are amazing.
Well, we still want Phyllis to do a white paper for us so that we can go to other cities and get them to do the same of support,
would-
because other cities don't do what we do.
If you need someone as a volunteer, because I have some time.
You heard her. You heard her.
And I'm-
Really,
I would
because
I would do that and
we
go
would
and
like-
support that.
we would absolutely like to present that to other cities, of course, with the school board's approval, so that other cities get themselves involved, because we are very far removed because of how the school system is operated very separately, but it's the community that makes the school.
Do you know that the Good Shepherd Church brings over 100 pack of snacks for students that won't have food every week, and we give it out? Eric Houghton, another Dunedin member, is the chair of our SAC committee.
Yeah.
And again, comes in, reads to kids. It's, again, the actions. So while you're far removed, you got yourself right in there, and you're doing the work with us. So
Well,
thank you. And
you
you
know-
have been there, Mayor Pajowski, 8 years ago. I can still see your face.
Well, you know what really, I think it was you that said it a little while ago, the hometown person. I went to Dunedin Elementary. I went to Dunedin Middle. I went to Dunedin High. So I'm a little partial. I know you have some of your partial schools too, but I'm a little partial to Dunedin L, because it was my first introduction to Dunedin schools, really. And so it's important to me, even if it's in a different place. That's a little hard for me to still wrap my brain around. And when it was struggling and you came in, we were just so thrilled to be able to do whatever we could to support you. And we appreciate where you've taken it and the example that you set for the future leadership. So
I had a little help, thank you.
enjoy your retirement.
She's already trying to volunteer, and she hadn't even
No,
left.
only for that one project.
Yeah. I'm telling you, we need that white paper. Jeff, let's talk.
Thank you.
All right.
You know, I have mentioned what we do to other commissioners in other cities,
Yeah,
and their jaw does drop.
they do. They do, and
Can't believe what
I
we
do
do.
think we need sort of an outline, something that can kind of talk about what we do and how we do it and some of the results that we've gotten from our own schools. I think it's really important to present something to other cities. And I think it would really do well for just shining a light on why we are delightfully different, you know? And I think we'd all be happy to go and help you make those presentations to different cities, so
Are you gonna, you could do it through leadership, yes,
any of those.
League of Cities.
Yeah, we
League
could.
of Cities,
We could.
So just
We
like-
on education.
Well, and that might be something to present to them in the
Take
future for
Carrie.
those
Take Carrie
awards.
with you.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so before we go to citizen input, I know there's a number of people here that are here to talk about the House 1581. Our city manager is, after this next public hearing that we're going to do, which won't take that long, is going to give us an update on that. So I'd like if you guys would just give us a couple of minutes, at least hear what she's going to say, and then you can come up and talk, okay? That way you know where we are with everything, if you don't already. Is that all right with everybody? Okay, so, but I will, you guys don't have to stay. You can sneak out. But I'll open up citizen, thank you, Phyllis. I'll open up citizen input to any item that's not already on the agenda, if anybody else wants to come up and speak to any item. Hey, Dave, come on up.
David Ballard Geddes Jr. I live at Georgia Avenue up the street in Palm Harbor. I see that throughout the town that this month is being promoted as Gay Pride Month. I wonder how much of this pride has to do with not the people, but as a political embodiment of such as legislation partnering with the Senate, and the Senate intercoursing its duties with Congress, and the body of the City Commission performing its function as a liaison thereto. Esoterically speaking, don't confuse political pride and ego with that of being gay. I feel this whole political pride movement is a contrivance in a nefarious attempt to justify your ways and means as a body politic at the expense of others. Such political behavior is to make a mockery of an unsuspecting population. Government as a body does not have the same rights as gay people do when conducting their leisure time activity. As a body commissioned to conduct your professional activity gaily, doing as you please at the expense of our tax dollars is both unjust and unwarranted. This government is paid to be productive, not proactive in its doing of things. For example, Statute 15320 provides the body of legislation as an alternative method of its doing of things in contrast with the existing methods. Such egocentric gay narratives in such political performance is to be denounced. Such political contrivance based on the embodiment of the 14th Amendment and the counterfeiting methods embodied in the Declaration of Independence are soon to be seen as nefarious and again shall be denounced. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to come forward and speak? Okay, I don't think that even deserves a response. All right, we're going to go to action items, which is the second reading of ordinance 22-17 on the development agreement with the Gateway. We're not going to read it yet. We're just going to go ahead and talk about it because there's a certain way that the motion needs to be done. Is it you or Joey?
If I may, Mayor, Joey is going to be presenting on behalf of Community Development this evening. Usually George sits with him, but he's under the weather today, and so I'm just going to turn it straight over to Joey for second reading.
Okay, welcome, Joey.
Thank you, Jennifer. Joseph Pasqua, again on behalf of Community Development, and yes, we have the second reading of the ordinance this evening. Of course, as you know, first reading was approved on June 9th unanimously, and the LPA also on May 11th did recommend approval as well. So between first and second reading, I think you recall, I'm going to go just briefly over what the amendment covers and then talk to you a little bit about what has been changed since first reading and second reading. So really, there's just a handful of changes involved in this amendment. The first of which is the applicant and developer, Mr. Kokalakis, has obtained a couple parcels of property and is folding them into the site itself. And because of that, there is some additional density that is available. So they are taking that 0.39 acres, they're folding it into the project, and then at 30 units an acre, they're increasing the number of apartments, not the hotel units, but at 30 units an acre, they can increase the apartments from 81 to 90. As you heard at the first hearing, the building itself won't change its outward appearance, but they're going to be reconfiguring inside to add those units. Mr. Kokalakis spoke to that at length at first reading. There is another change, which essentially is relocating a stormwater pipe that is located on the property as part of the off-site improvements. Another change is because you're adding units, the parkland impact fee has to be adjusted accordingly for those additional 9 units. And so that's one of the changes you'll see in one of the exhibits to development agreement. The applicant has provided a proposed site plan. In addition to the site plan, there's a number of drawings, so it's a 4-page document now. And what you'll see is the parkland impact fee credit areas or the private recreation areas. We're talking about the pool in the apartment area, and then there's I don't think they want to use the term dog park, but there's a park area to the north of the building. Those have been depicted in that exhibit, which is giving that specificity of the square footage, and then the credits were applied for that private recreation space per our ordinance. Our Parks and Recreation Department did review both exhibits, the first exhibit, Exhibit D, which is the site plan, and then prepared a revised parkland impact fee worksheet, which was included as well. And then, so that has been changed and adjusted with the amendment, and the time frame for implementation has been adjusted accordingly, because obviously the project will start after this approval tonight, presumably. And then the other item is, I want to point out, is Mr. Kokalakis is requesting a waiver of the $5,000 development fee that is required per our ordinance. So that is being formally requested tonight. And so with that, I will, that's really the change between first and second reading. I certainly would be available to answer any questions you may have.
I have a question. I thought that we also were looking at an extension of the 6 months, that we needed to possibly add that into any kind of motion?
Yes,
Design review.
that's correct.
The design review.
For
Is
design
that
review.
correct?
Yeah, Nikki and I will address that when it's time for a motion.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have none.
Jeff? No? Okay. This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to come forward and speak to this item, please feel free to do so. Seeing or hearing none. Nikki, will you give us what the motion is that you want us to say?
Well, so it's not
Are you
what I
going to do
want
the
you
reading?
to say, just if
The wording of it.
If the commission is inclined to approve the ordinance as well as the waiver of the development fee and the extension of the design review to coincide with the new deadlines in the First Amendment Development Agreement, it would be something like, I move to approve ordinance 2022-17 on second and final reading and waive the development agreement application fee and further extend the corresponding design review approval to align with the amended deadlines in the First Amendment. to the development agreement.
All right, well, you
I'm
gotta read the title.
spitballing.
You gotta read the title, so go ahead and read the title.
That's what I have up in front of me, so let's
Yep.
start there. Ordinance 2217, an ordinance of the City of Dunedin, Florida, approving and authorizing execution of the First Amendment to the Development Agreement between the City of Dunedin and Gateway Dunedin LLC, repealing any conflicting ordinances or parts thereof, and providing for an effective date. This has been reading of Ordinance 2217 on second reading by title only.
So it's three things.
Right.
Approve the First Amendment to the development agreement, waive the fee, and extend design review to match the development agreement dates.
Yes, and you can do that in
One
three-
motion.
You can do it in one, or you can do it in three. It's up to you.
One's easier.
Throw it
What-
together.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're all kind of part and parcel of the
Right.
same approval of the ordinance, but also you will need to still take public comment, I believe, Mayor, if we haven't yet.
I did.
Oh, did we? Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I'll make the motion in one
Okay.
Well, I had
combination.
all the language down. Do you want it or not?
Whatever.
You can do it.
No, I'm
You
comfortable.
can do it. I'll just give you and I'll second, but I'll just give you.
No, I was gonna
I
just-
wrote down
I was just gonna
everything.
reference the exact words that she,
She just said that you should say, I move to approve, right? And,
Well, if that is your will, yes, if that's what you want to do, that's how.
First Amendment, approve the First
First
Amendment to the
Amendment.
development agreement.
yep. Add the,
and
waive the development fee
I'll just do it exactly the way you said it.
and further extension of 6 months.
So I know what we're doing. We're extending.
I can't make a motion.
No, I understand, but the words that you said,
I
we've
move to
done that
approve
before.
ordinance 2217 on second and final reading, to waive the development application fee, and further to extend the design review approval to align, to the corresponding design review approval to align with the amended deadlines in the First Amendment.
Correct. And waiving the fee, if you didn't say
That was in
that.
there.
Yeah, she said it.
Okay.
Okay, I second.
So Commissioner Torga adopts my motion, I guess, but I can't make a motion, and nor do I have a say in whether you approve or disapprove, but I hope it was helpful.
And I've done that before.
Okay, great. We've got a motion in a second.
Any final comments? Mr. Kokolakis, any comments?
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, he's back there.
I was like,
Okay.
what do you mean, no public
He's
comment?
behind the column.
Joe.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Gao?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Kynes?
Aye.
Commissioner Torga?
Aye.
Mayor Brzezowski?
Aye, and that motion passes 4-0. There you go, buddy. All done. Okay. 4-0. All right, let's just get through the proposed agenda real quick, too. Let me just look at that. We have an annexation, another annexation, the millage rate, proposed millage rate, and the ordinance for the vehicles for hire. So we should be good. Okay. Everybody okay with those? All right, can I have a motion to approve that agenda?
So moved?
Second.
Commissioner Torga and Commissioner Gao, thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to go to informational items. We have several updates. Jennifer has 2 updates, which she emailed about. Nikki has an update that she told me about today. And if it hasn't gone too long, I'll give you an update on the TDC meeting that I attended on Tuesday. Why I missed this meeting on Tuesday. So Jennifer.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. I think it's serendipitous, actually, that there are folks here regarding Roxburgh. I did send a email message to you this afternoon, I believe, in regards to staff's activities as it pertains to 1581 Roxburgh. The property, as you may or may not know, the owner of the property has passed away. The property then fell into, and actually before that, it was in noncompliance with the code, and the fines were accumulating. The problem is that the property owner, to our knowledge, after he passed away, left no heirs and no estate and no will. And so this entire thing actually started under Chastagneau, our previous attorney. They had the case for a period of time. It's not one of the cases that was transferred over to BMO. Bryant Miller and all of our current attorney, Nikki Day. And so they conducted an international air search. They felt in order to, before they went to probate, that took a period of time to find the heirs. They actually did find one heir in France. Apparently, John and Lucine Vallion were originally from France. My understanding is that that heir has retained an attorney. Regardless, in order for us to address this, it needs to go to probate. Now, probate is not something that the city, on a private piece of property, is not something that the city would ever expend public dollars to do. It's a private issue. But there are several reasons why I have already executed an agreement with Denhart and Rubenstein, attorneys at law out of Tampa, in order to do the probate for this particular piece of property. One of them is that due to the large liens on the property, once it closes, we will be able to recoup anything that we've spent on the property through probate. The only way for us to address some of those code issues in the back and the condition of the structure itself is to through probate, have somebody else assigned to the property, get on the property, and be able to address those problems. The scope then of the work that the attorney, Lauren Rubenstein, is going to be doing, and I'll just read this verbatim, our scope of work will be to administer the estates of John and Lucine Vallon for the purpose of transferring the ownership of the property located at 1581 Roxburgh Lane out of the estates in order to address significant code concerns affecting the public health, safety, and welfare of the surrounding neighborhood. We are currently cutting the front lawn. There was a period of time between our previous director of community development and our current director. We were under our previous director. He left, and it fell between the cracks. We've picked it up again. We're having it cut every 2 weeks, and that's the front of the lawn. The back of the property also needs to be addressed. We can't gain access at this point, and Nikki can kind of fill you in on some of the legalities involved in that. So we're working to address the front of the property. The reason why I called this to your attention today is that it is within my delegated authority under $50,000 to retain the attorney, Lauren Rubenstein. It is within my operational authority to move forward with probate of the property, but I wanted you all to understand why it is we're expending public tax dollars on a probate case on private property. It really is a detriment to the community, and the community is here today. They've been calling us about this particular property. They want it. They want this to be mitigated as soon as possible. We move very slowly through the probate process and the air search, so I'll definitely admit to that, but we have to do it legally and within the confines of our code of ordinances and what we're able to do. So we anticipate there are hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of liens on the property, so any abatement that we're doing on the front will be, we're keeping tabs on that. And also anything that we're going to expend through the attorneys will also keep tabs on that and just ensure at a minimum that the city is repaid for, and the taxpayers are repaid for any dollars that they spend on the probate.
How long do you have any clue how long this will take?
Lauren Rubenstein, our attorney, knows that we need it done as quickly as possible.
Yeah, but it's usually, probate's usually like a 6-month process, right? If not more?
I would imagine, yes.
Any comments?
I have no experience in this area, which is why I actually sent several names to Jennifer to talk to when they were looking at moving the file to be worked up. I sent her several names, and I'm glad that Lauren is a very reputable attorney. She's the president of the St. Pete Bar Association, so I have no concerns with her abilities to be able to do the work. And if she's given Jennifer an estimate, I'm not sure, but I really...
She's given me an hourly, Nikki, an hourly wage.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about the cost. I was talking about the time it takes. Probate's usually six months to a year, I think, to go through that, which is why they...
And I mean, like most court proceedings, I do know generally, if the other side has an attorney, there will be some aspects that are outside of the city's control. But
you are working on to get into the backyard.
We're thinking through the probate process. that's how we would get into the backyard, to have the ownership assigned to someone who would then allow access to the backyard and get it
Well,
cleaned
and-
up.
Or, and there are options that we talked about with Jennifer that the court may be able to do to allow certain points of access. So the court, you can use the court for a civil inspection warrant, but you're already in court, so there's no point in filing a separate court action for that when you're already in court.
I just
So,
know that
yeah.
when there's like overgrowth or whatever in backyards, sometimes that can cause rodents and things like that. And I'm quite sure that that's probably a thing over there. So,
I
I mean,
understand,
just
yeah.
being able to get in there and weed whack the whole yard or whatever, just to get it,
That's what we're moving toward. That's what we're trying to get.
okay.
Unfortunately, we cannot go into that backyard with our weed whackers. We're not authorized, we're not legally able to do that at this point.
And you don't consider that a life safety thing? Where you could?
It's not my consideration. Those are for other professionals who would,
Who does that? Who does that for us?
There are several people who can execute the affidavit for an inspection warrant on non-homesteaded property that can allow for the government to be able to come on your property without the owner's permission. So we would work, if the city went down, I mean, this is a different attorney's court process, but we would assist the city in any way that it needed to support those efforts to get authority from the court to go onto someone else's property, which is essentially what it still is right now. If it was rising to the level of an imminent threat to, then there are additional actions that potentially could be taken. But again, I recommend that everything be done in lockstep with the court proceedings that you're doing. And the attorney, you don't want to do anything that is going to disrupt their case or moving forward on the overall progress that you're trying to achieve through that process.
Okay. Any questions before I open it up for the public?
I'm just going to ask if we were going to go down that journey of trying to get access to the backyard.
That's what Jennifer just said,
Yes.
that yes, but through the probate
Use it.
part, not separately.
So when we say lockstep, I understand that, but in going through the probate, is getting into the backyard, is that a slower process in addition to getting the probate, or we can't get access until probate? Are we looking at 3 months or 6 months or 9 months? I guess is where my head is.
I'm not sure how long the process would take as far as in a court of law. As far as the probate goes, I think actually the most expeditious way to do this is through the probate process. And I think that we could look at which is the easiest, fastest way to get, in the backyard, essentially. And I know there are issues with the roof and other things as well.
So you're going to talk to the probate attorney to determine the best course of action?
Yeah. I wasn't prepared to have this discussion tonight. I was just going to give you an update and why we're probating, private property, to be honest with you. So I can certainly come
that's
back and
okay.
talk to you, about
And it's only a little
timelines
awkward because it's not my case, so I really don't know, Commissioner.
Yeah.
But, that's certainly I know that,
I just understand where the residents are coming from.
Right.
I think we all do.
Absolutely.
But I think what you're saying is that you're committed to, try to alleviate
Yeah.
the problem. Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to open it up then. Who wants to come down and speak? Come on down, give us your name and address for the record.
My name is Ken Klein. I'm on the Braymore South Homeowners Association. I live on McCharles Court, the next block over from the concerned property. And I just wanted to give you kind of a 5-year history of where we're at, because it's been over 5 years that we've been dealing with this property in disrepair. So I'm going to go through that. The owner, Lucian Vallon, died in August of 2017, leaving no will. Some of this information you've already heard. At that point, the house was never probated to her son. It's still listed as her estate. He never filed for probate. At the point that she died, the house was already in disrepair. The pool is black with mold. The house is loaded with mold inside and out. There are rats all over the property, raccoons, and this has been going on for at least 5 years. If the real issue with the property, while I'm thinking about this, it's not the grass. It's the pool, it's the stench from the pool, it's the stench from the mold and the mildew. That's the worst part of it. It's not, the grass is not the worst part. Okay. The house begins to accumulate fines. Code enforcement starts addressing the issues. The property is being fined at $250 a day. Son John, living in the house, he dies in January of 2020. He made very little attempt to try to resolve any of the problems. After John's death in 2020, we were told that the city's law firm, the Trask Group, specifically Mr. Platty, was searching for heirs as Lucien had dual citizenship with France. At this point, 2+ years later, the property is still in limbo with no clear ownership. Fines continue to accumulate despite no ownership or way to remedy the reason for the fines. I sent an email in January of 2022 to Mr. Kinney regarding the fines as well as code enforcement. And after over 2 years of fines post John's death, the Code Enforcement Board finally stopped fining the property. But today there are over $200,000 in fines that exist on the property. Numerous complaints have been made through the years to all of the following: Code Enforcement, Mayor Bujalski, Jennifer Bramley, Mr. Kinney, the Health Department. The Health Department said they had nothing they could do about it. When the city switched law firms, this file became dormant. And after constant prying and complaints, we were told that those files were now transferred to the new law firm, specifically Nikki Day. After a month had passed and still no action, I reached out to Jennifer Bramley to inquire about progress. She said that Nikki Day was not a probate lawyer and she would need to get approval to hire a probate lawyer to deal with the property. I understand there's now a lawyer assigned to this case, but here we are dealing with a property that has been a severe health hazard in disrepair since at least 2017, and we have no end in sight. The homeowners of Braemore South are asking you to please expedite the matter, condemning the property or foreclosing on the property or getting into a probate hearing so that we can resolve this issue. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
No, I think we've heard you, and I think that's exactly what we're doing. We've got the probate attorney now, but the black pool, that's life safety.
That's health safety.
That's life safety. I can't imagine that we wouldn't be able to get in there, given that. I mean, look what we went through for a black pool in another case, $40,000 later. Y'all remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, come on down, George. Just give us your name and address for the record.
Hello, George Talmadge, 1578 Roxburgh Lane, and I live directly across from this house. This house has got to be the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. The front door has a sign on it that says, "Do not enter dangerous black mold." On the garage, it has a sign, "Please do not enter black mold." The lawn, and with all due respect, the lawn has not been mowed in 9 months. It's 18 inches high. And this is what, I open my door, this is what I see every day. There is actually a 7-foot tree growing out of the roof of this house. It's horrible. This is what I wake up to and come out my front door. We had actual people that were for Halloween coming trick-or-treating, and the parents were telling the kids not to go past that house because they were scared. That's how bad this house is. It needs more than just mowing. There's probably 4 inches of leaves with bugs. I see possums coming across the street to my house, which I put $90,000 into with my wife to beautify, and possums are coming across the street to my house at night. I've seen rats, which are running on the roof. The fireplace on the top, the stack, is totally destroyed, and raccoons are going in it. This really has been going on for too many years. I've never said anything. You guys know who I am. And I've never said anything about it, but it's really, really disgusting. And we live 6.5 minutes from here, and I would love for anybody on here to come and go look at that house and tell me they would like it, or they'd be okay with it.
Yeah, no, I've seen it.
And I understand the probate, I understand all this stuff. We need help. That's what we're here to do. We're here to get help from you guys. I've lived in this town for 28 years. I worked for the city. I've been here. I know what I'm talking about with this. This is horrible. I had the greatest neighbor in the world. I love her to death. And she's getting ready to move. because she lives next to this house. She's getting ready to move. And I talked to my wife about moving out of here too. And I love this town and I love everything. You know that. But we really need some help. That's what we're here for. We're not begging, but we're asking, please help us do something. We need to get the leaves from underneath the lawn. I've looked over the fence. That pool is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm waiting for Van Halen, the vampire, to walk out of that house. That's how bad it is.
Okay.
And
Thank you, George.
okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Anyone else wish to come forward? Come on down.
I'm going to pile on.
That's okay. That's what we're here for.
I live right in Joanne Sheldon, 1575 Roxburgh. You know, for 2.5 years, I've been waiting for something to get done. I talked myself after John died. I got a call from Mr. Platty, and we had a lot of conversations about how it's not going to take the usual 2 years to probate this place because there are no relatives. And he said, it'll be done way before 2 years. Well, it didn't
Here we
happen,
are.
obviously. I sometimes can't go in my backyard from the smell, from the stagnant water in the pool. I'm begging you to go back there.
It's almost
There's
like we need to
mold.
drain it.
Drain the pool, do something. There's black mold or green mold or algae or whatever you want to call it all over the pool deck. And you could smell so bad sometimes. Not all the time, but a lot of days. And cutting the grass is not cut. The grass is very, very high. Some of the weeds are waist high. And there was a guy out, I will tell you, there was a guy out. I talked to you on the phone about a month ago.
Right.
And there was a guy out about 2.5 weeks ago, said that you had sent him out to do an estimate on taking care of the property. It hasn't been done. And when they do cut it, they cut these huge weeds and huge grass down. There's got to be a 6 or an 8-inch pack of leaves and dead grass and everything. It stinks because it rots, and when it rains, it gets
More
mushy.
rotten.
It's just awful.
Sure.
I've had rats at my door that come from, I know they come from over there. And the neighbors on the other side have seen raccoons going down the chimney. It's really, really bad. And it's not just the grass on the front lawn. It's the
get it.
back with the mold and the stagnant water in the pool that's making it almost impossible for me to go in my backyard sometimes.
Gotcha.
And I've been dealing with this all the time. So if there's any way that anybody can do anything, I would so appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I've got a quick question. David Valergadis Jr., Georgia Avenue, Palm Harbor. I suspect that there's not a mortgage on this property, but if there was a mortgage on this property, would the bank be responsible for upkeep of the home versus the city having to step in and take care of, you know, the issues?
Yes, that's the problem. Yes. Anyone else wish to come forward? Okay, so we clearly have a life safety issue with the black stuff, you know, I think. And that's what I meant, the pool. And animal control and that type of thing, so. I think we can't, well, two things. I don't think we can wait around. And it's only going to get worse as it gets hotter. I mean, it's putridly hot outside right now, so it's only going to get worse. So whatever that means, you know, you need to talk to George and whoever those people are that go get these things
Right,
addressed.
so George hired George Kinney, Director of Community Development. My understanding is a company to come out and cut it on a regular basis, and it would, not city staff. So that's what you saw. I thought that had been done already, and I'll
Right.
make a phone call tomorrow.
Well, and we also need to make sure, because, I mean, I have no idea who this company is, but, you know, lawn services are notoriously quick at what they do. And the first couple times they come, they're going to need to get that under stuff. You know what I mean? We need to make sure that they're not just,
mowing and going.
Yeah.
Well, at least for the first time or two, until they get that piece of it done, but I mean,
Also mean they need to clean
Right.
it up, the debris from the mowing. Is that
So
what
I have, excuse me, Vice Mayor, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I have Nicole Delfino working on this for me. She, and I'll have her reach out to Lauren Rubenstein tomorrow and see if we can some sort of guardianship in the intervening period and explore those life safety issues. And then I'll call George Kinney and see what we can do about getting that company there now.
well, and even if, I mean, I don't know the legality of it, but even if the company can't get there, if our guys can go, at least for the front yard. I mean, you know, I don't know the legality of that. I get all of that. I'm just saying, I mean, everybody's really, really busy right now. It's difficult. I've been begging my lawn guy to fix my sprinkler system for 6 months. They're so busy and so low on, as everybody else, hiring people. He's lucky that he's mowing my lawn. So I just, for whatever reason, if we can't get somebody out there right away, maybe we, at least for the front yard, part of it.
I think we all agree with this. I'm going to make a comment. I think we all agree with this. This is fully unacceptable now, and I haven't seen it, but from what I'm hearing,
Yeah, I've seen it.
I think we all agree this has to stop now, whatever we have to do. This is, thank you, thank you.
So I
This
take
is
it you
safety-
authorize expending the funding
Yes.
for probate.
Safety and
Yes, we
security
are.
for the community. Yeah,
Yes, we are.
absolutely.
Yes, we are.
Full bore.
Yeah, what would you do? Can you drain the pool?
I don't know what.
I mean,
I don't know either, but
I don't
I
know
think you
anything
can.
about-
I think you can.
I don't think we
I
need
don't
to
know
get in the
anything
weeds.
about
Yeah, we don't. We just need to get it.
The one, we do know.
There's enough
there-
weeds.
The probate matter, after much prodding and diligence from Jennifer's office, was filed by the prior law firm before it was transferred. So there is an active, open case, open now, that I think, you know, I just wanted to point, it's not as if they're waiting to file. Something is now filed in the court to begin probating the matter. And then
Lauren takes it, right.
Lauren will step in to proceed with that matter further, and I think I hear you loud and clear that the message from both Jennifer and me will be to do this as expediently as possible and to address the public health issues using the jurisdiction of the court if necessary.
Okay, and Jennifer, I presume somebody, you or others on staff, have the contact of the HOA president so that we can at least communicate with them?
Nicole has been communicating on a regular basis.
Okay.
Yes.
So at least that they can be communicated with and know what's going on. I don't
Yes.
want them to feel like they have
Mayor,
to come here.
We have been communicating. That's why I gave it to Nicole, because she had a little more time.
No,
than I did.
she's good, she's good at that, so, okay. All right, well, I think you hear, whatever it takes. I mean, obviously, we're not gonna try to make the house pretty, we just need to make it.
No, it's a demolition once.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd be curious about the condemning thing, If we can condemn it and bulldoze it, why not? But I don't know all about that stuff,
So the heir would get the property?
I can't comment on that.
Yeah, we don't
No. What we need right now is to get control of the
And
property.
to condemn a property, you need to be able to give notice to someone.
Right.
That's another avenue that this court process can give, is an avenue of someone to give notice about the issues regarding this property. And by notice, I mean, because before you condemn, you do have to, you
have to
can't
provide
just
somebody
go
with
and
something.
start bulldozing properties throughout the city without giving notice to people. So this legal process is, again, totally outside of my bailiwick. If Commissioner Freeney were here, she would say this is a good thing, because I don't practice in areas that I don't practice in. And my focus is entirely in local government law. So our firm had never, if this was part of on the excluded table of matters that never came to us, this was one of them. And Jennifer, I know that there was a lot of diligence that went into that period from October to November in getting it filed.
Okay.
Well, I guess the question is, and trust me, I don't know anything about probate, forget it. I mean, all I know is try to avoid
Takes
it.
a long time.
Try
Right.
to avoid it. But you know, surely the question for your attorney that you have now hired is, where does health, safety, and welfare take precedence? And I think that's the major question.
And I don't know the process either, but I would hope that the condemning of the home is part of the probate process, as opposed to getting it settled, so now the owner is in France. But, so we've got an owner, but we still have a house that needs to be
We
condemned.
have an heir,
An heir.
not an owner, yeah.
Right.
Heir,
Right.
owner, I don't know the
Right.
difference.
Okay. I think you've heard
That's
it
what
all.
you've got the summary, right, Commissioner?
And I see that you're both very committed to making sure this gets taken care of.
Stay on.
So,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you guys for coming out. Come on up. Come up to the microphone.
Yeah, I just want to ask, and I'm listening to everything, and appreciate it, but I'd really like to have someone come and look at this house besides talk about it. And one of the other things is every time we asked to mow the lawn, we went to this department, they said, oh yeah, we'll mow it. It never got mowed. Then we went to another department, they said, oh, we're not allowed to mow it. And the lawn is 17, 18 inches high. I measured it today. I have pictures of the house, but I really would like someone to come and look at what we're dealing with besides just talking about it. Is that possible?
George, any one of us can come and look at it.
I've seen it. I've seen it, but I haven't seen it today. It's been probably a year since I've seen it, but I mean, I don't guess it's, you know.
So you having worked on this, we just gave our opinion over here.
Yeah.
And I'll be there by tomorrow morning for sure.
Okay, that would be wonderful.
But that doesn't matter whether I come or not.
No.
It
I mean,
matters-
what you
We
were-
gave direction here. We gave
Matters to
direction
me.
here,
But
and we
what-
need to fix it.
I think what's more important really is that our team, our internal team sees it. And I believe that they have.
Okay, I want to believe it.
You know,
too.
like George, our new code enforcement supervisor, you know, she's brand new, but, you know,
Okay.
those are the right people to see it. So when they're dealing, you know, with getting the people to do what they need to do as far as the maintenance part, they know what they're talking about.
Okay.
And I am sure that they've seen it, but if they haven't, I think Jennifer's committed to making sure that they do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, George. All right, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking action.
All right, you had a second update?
I did, yeah. I think that we've all noticed that post-pandemic how busy downtown is. And it seems like it's actually even busier than it was before the pandemic. And we are experiencing what I think are growing pains in our downtown. I mean, this commission and previous commissions and previous administrations have spent a lot of time and effort making it what it is today, and it's very successful. And you know, we're drawing folks here from the region, and now you look at some of the license plates, really the nation. The Southern Living is going to be doing an article on us, and particularly the marina here shortly, and we've been mentioning Southern Living before. As you know, there have been a number of issues in downtown in which the merchants, the retailers, and hospitality industry are at odds. And that's not normal for the city of Dunedin. Typically, everybody's pulling in the same direction, and everybody's supporting everybody else. And any disputes are usually resolved relatively quickly. And it doesn't appear that that's happening as well as it has in the past. I think it's time for us to convene a task force. And the task force would be comprised, and I'm just thinking, you know, kind of trying to give you an outline of what it is I'm talking about, will be comprised of our business owners and our property owners and our residents in and around downtown, and that's not to exclude anyone, really. I think that we need to convene relatively quickly on a number of very specific issues, on code compliance in downtown, on permitted uses in downtown, on outdoor dining in downtown, on parking issues in downtown as well. And I think that everybody needs to have a seat at the table who has a stake in our downtown. And that would be certainly the Chamber of Commerce, the DDMA, like I said, our property owners, hospitality, retailers, and that type of a thing, to try to come to consensus on some of the activities that we may need to all agree upon, or at least a negotiated settlement on some of the activities, and also on some of the amendments to the code that we may need to make. I know that there is some discussion on outdoor dining, and that it's very limited, and that it was that particular section of the code was adopted in order to encourage outdoor dining when there was none in Dunedin, and now there's a lot. And everybody seems to want to eat and drink outside, and I think that's the result of the pandemic and our beautiful weather as well. So I'm envisioning that we would have a facilitator and not somebody from the city. It needs to be somebody who can move the meeting along, get everybody an equal say on the task force. I'm envisioning that we would meet every other week until we're done. And I'm not envisioning that it would be mired down in bureaucracy. This is, to me, an equal effort. We will be happy to convene, provide the facility to begin with, but I imagine that we'd be meeting at different places. We would have a seat at the table, most certainly, and I would fill that seat myself, and bring to bear what staff I need to for whatever the topic is. But I think it's really important for us to get back on track where we were communicating, collaborating. That's what made downtown the success that it is now. Specifically amongst the hospitality industry, our breweries and that type of a thing. And we're not seeing a lot of that right now, and that really bothers all of you. I know each of you has spoken to me about this individually, and it bothers me too as the city manager. I think that we need to have a come to Jesus is kind of the wrong term, but the right term, and all get back on the same page again for the sake of our downtown and the vibrancy, if you will, of our downtown. I have spoken to all of you about this individually, but I wanted to bring it up on the dais. I would send out an invitation via the email, all of our outlets really, and the email list that we put together during the pandemic, and invite folks to an organizational meeting. Just to say these are the parameters, this is how often we'll meet, this is where we'll meet, these are the subjects that we've all agreed, and then pull out the chairs and everybody has knees under the table and we'll figure this out. I would report back to the City Commission on a regular basis the progress that we're making or not making. I don't think it's going to be easy because everybody has a different, not everybody, but there are a lot of different opinions out there about parking, about outdoor dining, about noise, and all those sorts of things. And so I did reach out to members of the community with this concept as well, and they were all very supportive. And I also reached out to Harry Gross today. He was the interim city manager when we put together the Noise Ordinance Task Force, and just got some words of wisdom from him as well on how to do this. So that task force, he recalls, was not appointed by the City Commission, but was kind of gathered by the interim city manager at that point, which is what I'm really looking to do here as well.
I'm curious about that, about the noise ordinance, Jennifer. I was here when we did it. So you're going to look, as time changes, as time goes on, occasionally you have to tweak things. Because there can be changes. But it's not in consideration that we won't have the noise ordinance. We may need to tweak it, perhaps, or whatever. Is that correct?
I think, Vice Mayor, I wouldn't commit to yes or no, or I think that that's the purpose of the task force. Let's all talk about those subjects and collaborate and bring something forward. I think that the noise ordinance it's a difficult ordinance to draft. It is a difficult ordinance to enforce, obviously, and I think it's working. There are those who say it's not, and those are the majority who say that it is. And I think that of all of our issues, I think that honestly, that's not one that we need to embark upon immediately.
I'm just curious.
Right.
That's fine, because I think at the end of the day, you would say that it's done what it was supposed to. People now understand decibels.
Yeah.
And where from.
It's the uses outside.
That are really
It's the
bigger
outside
issue.
uses. It's the uses. Because the dining part, really, if you remember when we did our dining ordinance, and I think you were here for that too, the 24-seat thing is because it was in the right-of-way. And so it was looked at a very limiting scope. It wasn't thought about all the different ways you can have outdoor dining now. And outdoor dining isn't a problem. It's the other uses around outdoor dining that can cause the problem. And, you know, all of that has to get worked through.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, if you think about the Rock House or Stonehouse guy over here, you know, he's going to be developing something new. You think he's only going to want 24 seats, which is essentially 6 tables outside? Look at the beautiful trees he's got over there. He's going to want more than 24 seats. Everybody wants more than 24 seats. So it isn't that's not the part. You know,
Well,
it's everything that goes along with it.
Well, I think that, you know, I feel in this area that ours right now is a downtown that many aspire to be.
Right.
But I think that we need to look at those downtowns that we aspire to be like. I mean, there's some very successful small coastal village. There's some very successful downtowns, you know, Central Florida, Mount Dora. I think about everybody talks about Mount Dora. It's delightful, but not like we are. But so we would look, you know, as staff, we would do some research and look at other areas, what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and just sit down with our community, our downtown community, and talk about that.
And if we get entertainment, if we get hospitality venues, let's call them, on the East End, which is what we're hoping with our East End revitalization plan, with if the Gateway gets started, you know, Skinner and all of that, none of these places on the East End really have much of their own parking, and they're all going to want outdoor dining. How do we deal with that?
Exactly. That's exactly.
That's a problem, because we can't just say, pay into the parking bank. That's never going to cover the number of parking spaces we'll need. So that's a whole nother conversation to be having. And whatever we do, yes, we want to promote revitalization, but we also don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot down the road. Just a lot to think of.
Absolutely.
But the thing about it is, if you really consider sort of a crux of the problem, is the live, work, and play. It's living and working. I mean, there can be a real juxtaposition there. And maybe we're just looking at how big are our venues? How big are they supposed to be, you know, to set in an area that we've always promoted live, work, play? And that,
Right.
you know,
Yes.
it's not easy.
No.
At all. I agree with you.
And I think that, and I do want to stress that we're not going to get mired down in bureaucracy, that everybody will have an equal seat. That's why I think the facilitator is very important, that I don't facilitate it, that, you know, everybody has their say, and so we can move things along. And, you know, we'll have our first organizational meeting here on site because it's easy for me to find the facility to do it. And then maybe we'll move off site and do it over coffee or however we need to do it, but do it in a way that is facilitates the needs of you know, our downtown stakeholders. They might need to meet in the morning because they need to be open in the afternoon. Maybe early evening's better for them, in which case we'll be there then, you know, so.
Well, I'm very appreciative, I can tell you that you're taking this step. I think it's the right thing to do. I think, you know, you and then subsequently us will learn a lot. I think it'll be important not to make these meetings political.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know. Let you guys do your job is my point. I think that'll be important.
But I think it's really important.
Yes.
I mean, I totally agree. I mean, it's time. And
Yeah,
so,
because we have, what, 10 years left?
Of the CRA, yeah. Yeah. We're getting to the end of doesn't seem like it, but we are.
And I'm sure a lot of people don't realize that.
No,
So
they don't.
A lot of things have to be accomplished. What are our priorities? And, you know, cause and effect of this is going to affect something later down the road in the general fund, and we can't have all that.
Exactly.
Okay. You guys okay with her update? Okay. And then the last thing I was just going to tell you is that the TDC meeting that I went to on Tuesday, that it had gotten moved because they had to move their meeting because the county had their budget hearings at the same, or workshops at the same time we normally would have had this meeting, and that's why it got moved. But I felt it was really important because they were talking about beach renourishment. And interestingly enough, you know, the bed tax that goes to Visit St. Pete Clearwater, for decades, 0.5% goes towards beach renourishment, which the county manages. And to my knowledge, up until this last 6 months, nobody on that board has ever gotten an update of how much they spend, where it's going, what's their budget, are we putting too much money or not enough? So we had sort of that meeting Tuesday, and I thought it was really important to be there. And what we learned, which I kind of already knew, was that, you know, our beach renourishment is going from Clearwater Beach south. There's nothing in North County. Nothing. Dunedin Causeway is owned by the county, never been touched, to my knowledge. And if it has, they've done some dredging and thrown some stuff on there, but it's not been a full-on renourishment. Why? Because it's in their streets budget. That's bureaucracy. Fred Howard Park in Tarpon. That's a county-owned park, never been touched. Matter of fact, it was told to us Tuesday that it didn't have, you know, degradation of sand, which you can't be on the coast of Florida and not have degradation of sand. I mean, we just have too many storms. Those were the only two I could think of, you know, that were at least like county-owned, but I'm sure there are a lot of other little places, but no. And so we did add another 0.25%, and we did say that we wanted North County to be considered in all of this. We did get some support for that, you know, just the adding of the money and making sure that they're covered too. North County's covered too. What Kelly Levy said was that they're working on a causeway management plan, which concerned me because nobody here knows about it. None of us, not anybody, not Jorge, who's plugged in completely, nobody, not Parks and Rec. I don't know how far they are with it. We don't know that, and Jennifer and Jorge are working on, you know, kind of finding out where they are in the process. We obviously want to be included from a staff perspective, but also our committees who are very passionate about the causeway. They're going to want to be involved, and but there was discussion about, you know, the uses out there and how the uses are causing sand erosion. I'm sorry, that worries me. You know, which uses are they trying to get rid of? Those are big conversations for our community. The uses aren't causing erosion. I mean, they're concerned about, how much did I tell you, $200 and something thousand they spend a year on maintenance? That was, their words, a lot of money. There was just a lot of conversation that was a little, it was just, you know, I don't want to say a lot, but I mean, if you watch it yourself, you can see it. It wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but it was, I didn't think that $200 and some thousand of maintenance of a causeway that gets as much traffic as it does was a lot of money as compared to their $1 billion budget. I just thought, really?
And that causeway leads to the most active state park in the state.
Yeah. So, you know, anyway, Jorge and Jennifer are on it. We're going to find out what is this causeway management plan. What is it, or are they just talking about it? You know, did I mishear? I don't think I misheard, but.
Is there any economic data on Honeymoon Island State Park, on what it brings in?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. I'm sure it could be found. But here's the thing that I want to remind everybody. You know, while we don't have the exact comparative data, you can kind of do the math in your head. So on the causeway, there's an average of 10,000 vehicle trips a day. 10,000 on the causeway. I'm talking about from Alt 19 west. So if you add that up for a year, that's 3,600 and, 50,000,000, I'm sorry, trips. If, as an, total, as an average number. Now, if Honeymoon Island has 1,500,000 users every year, the trips are going to have multiple people in the car. There's a ton of people going to the causeway, not going into Honeymoon Island. It is extremely actively used. I mean, just like I don't have like data that I can compare, but if you just listen to those numbers, you've got this many trips, over 3 million, and you've got this many people going. I mean, it's very clear to me that I think the causeway actually has more users than Honeymoon. And I mean, and there's not enough residents out there to really, make a big dent into that. But if you think about it, and the trail, and all of those different things that are going on out there. So when somebody says, $200,000 of maintenance is a lot of money, well, it's in their streets budget. They don't treat it like a park. We need them to treat it like a park. And we've kind of said, the bridge needs to be built before you can do sand renourishment, before you can start treating it like a park, before you can do the next step, before you can do the undergrounding. It's all sort of hinging on that bridge.
Yeah, when are we going to get the bridge?
Well, they are trying to get money through the infrastructure money, but who knows how long that will take, which is exactly for that. They are designed and ready to go. It's a matter of the funding. They are working on it. Jorge's on top of it. I talk to him about it all the time. But it's the bridge that will then lead to all of these other things. So if they're going to talk about a causeway management plan, frankly, I don't think they should even waste their time on it right now until they should be focusing on getting the bridge done, because none of those management things can really be done. The sand renourishment can't be done until that bridge is there. You got to know how much area you're really going to have, right? I mean,
Right.
The uses, you got to see how much recreation, I mean, we see it on a piece of paper, but how much recreational area is getting sort of covered by that bridge, so that, oh, well, that use can't happen there. It's going to have to move down here. And you understand what I'm saying? There's a lot to consider there. So I'm really glad I went, is my point. I want Dunedin Causeway on the list eventually for, sand renourishment. But I want the darn bridge to be done, and I want all these other things to be done too. And you can't, I don't know why they're doing a management plan. But I thought it was just kind of funny that none of us knew about it. So that's my update. I was really glad I was there. I was really glad I got to speak to it. There's nothing for us to do at this moment because Jorge and Jennifer, but Jorge's on it and he's trying to find the best way to figure out what is this management plan. Has it started yet? And ironically, this would have fallen under him in his job at the county. So he's very astute, Jorge is, as to, item 1, 2, and 3, how it should flow, and if it's not flowing correctly. So we'll see.
Well, I read in the paper, and I was real proud that there were certainly comments made that we also have beaches in North Pinellas that very much need the dollars and the money to renourish.
Yep. So it's good. So that's why I went. I'll keep plugging away. I'll keep you posted as soon as I know anything else. Okay. And I think Nikki has, I'm sorry, I should have gone to you first. Nikki has a good piece of news for us.
Well, I've got just a brief update. We are still waiting on one finalization of one document and the answer to one question, but we will be pre-signing the closing documents for Jerry Lake tonight after the meeting, and we are scheduled to close right now on Monday. So I said scheduled to, because she wrote will here, and I was like, don't yet. Closings are always like anything in the military. Nothing's ever happening until it's happening, right? So we are bullish. We are on track. We are just waiting on a few responses from Swift Mud. Like I said, just those 2 items, but we'll pre-sign the documents tonight. And by Monday, I hope to send out a very positive email that you own Jerry Lake.
Fabulous. This is wonderful news, too. And I'm just so glad that we didn't wait for years to do this. It'll be wrapped up in a bow. And it'll be ours, no matter how long it takes us to fix everything or do everything we might need to do. It's done, it's preserved,
That's right.
and it'll all be one beautiful park.
120 acres of pristine open space.
Yeah, no more 40-some acres now.
I will email you all on Monday when all of those statements are true. Keep up the good
Mayor, if I can just piggyback on that.
Sure.
I got a tour of Gladys Douglas this morning. I highly recommend it.
I'm going Wednesday.
Please go out.
Yeah.
And are you going in the morning?
Well, I'm
If
not
you
going,
can.
let me tell you, if it's this hot, I'm going at 5 a.m.
Get ready, Vince.
You know, it was beautiful when we were buying it. It is spectacular now. What they have done is just.
What time did you go out early? I mean, I'm going early because
It
it's
was
just
8:30.
too miserable.
8:30?
And was it pretty shaded around the?
Yeah,
I wanna go in the evening.
I was thinking.
I'm not an
I was
8:30 girl.
concerned about population when it opens, that the number of morning walkers we'll have on the property. It was that amazing, and I don't know about you all, but I was a little concerned on what that crushed concrete was gonna look like.
It looks.
Well done. It looks
Yeah.
really, really
Good.
nice.
And,
Well, I
and
get
that,
to
that was done by our Parks Maintenance staff. It was
Yeah.
done in-house. They did a
Yeah,
fantastic
it's
job.
Fabulous. So, good for you. Yeah, recommend to everybody
Yeah.
going out and seeing that. And I do, real quickly, can I bring something up?
Sure.
Just, and for maybe a future agenda item, and I bugged the city manager about it a little bit, but there is actually a National Neighborhood Day. And I know City of Clearwater does it, and I know that there are some active parts of our community where streets together, neighbors get together, and they party or they meet, and then there's other sections that don't. But National Neighborhood Day is just an opportunity one day a year to encourage the neighbors to get together and just get to know each other, and whether that turns into a block party or not, that's up to them. But I know when we were talking about short-term rentals, some of the comments, right, some of the reasons why we're against it or want to control it is because of concern of losing that community feel within the neighborhoods, and some of the comments for people for it were, who are you kidding? Neighbors don't do that anymore anyway. And I kind of took that pretty personal, that's actually true. We aren't as connected as we used to be, or at least some parts of the neighborhood. So I thought it would be a good idea to promote it in some way. And I know City of Clearwater does it up pretty good. We don't need to start out that big, but we can start small, but just to kick it around a little bit, is my thought.
So, can I make a suggestion? Maybe we can do the proclamation for the neighborhood week and all that, but that should be a business plan thing.
Well,
And I say this,
I agree, and
I say this because though, if they do take us up on block parties and things, there's gonna be required closures. There's gonna be things, and we're gonna
Right.
need to be prepared for what those things are, and we should have a
Right, I
real
agree.
program.
Because actually, it is a business initiative in Clearwater, and I knew it would come to that, but I thought at least the first year, just to see what happens. But if you'd rather have it brought up during
But I think
a
we can
budget
do-
discussion, I can do that.
Well, why don't you tie it in with Neighborhood Watch, which has gone by the wayside, except for John. John keeps
Except for
saying
John.
that he's got a good one.
We're doing research on that right now. It
Oh,
has
you
not gone
do?
down by the-
But, I mean, maybe
We,
that could, get together with your neighborhood and sometimes in the past, that's when we
But the
had
thing is,
people
that's
talk to them about neighborhood watch.
I think that's a natural
Do
connection.
you do that, John? When you do your neighborhood watches, do you gather people or?
We do, and we also have a social committee, so probably more directed towards that.
There you go.
So as you're looking into the whole neighborhood watch thing, you know, but I do think it has to be put in as a business plan initiative, and I say this, I wasn't, like, it should be talked about at the next
Strategic planning.
No,
Yeah.
not the budget, the next strategic, which would be January, February. And I know that puts it off, but, because you have to see all the different things everybody brings forward for prioritizing. I just worry that we're not going to, I want to do it. I just worry that we're not going to have the people to do it
Okay.
because of the hiring issues we're having.
I wasn't anticipating any city involvement this year, but if you want to wait, that's fine. Yeah.
No, I think it's a good idea. I'm just saying you
Well, I
might
can
tie
do it
it with, when they do their research, you know, on the neighborhood watch. I just don't know of a neighborhood watch in my neighborhood anymore. I don't know one person.
Yeah,
so.
me neither. Okay. Anybody, anything else from anybody? No? Okay. Thank you. We are adjourned. Okay.
So I was hung up.